The amount of help a hearing aid can give depends on the person, his or her hearing, and the way in which a hearing aid works. Since a hearing aid can only amplify residual hearing, it can't help people who have no hearing at all. For the same reason, shouting doesn't help either. However, most deaf people only have a partial loss of hearing. For them, a hearing aid can often be a great help, but they need to be aware of its limitations and be given advice on how to use it to advantage. In most cases, it is the high-pitched sounds that deaf people can't hear well, making speech sound muffled and distorted. This is what it can sound like.
The leaves were rather beaten back from the doorway, a feature which was worn and scratched by much passing in and out.
A hearing aid will not enable them to hear these sounds normally. Speech may still sound distorted and unclear like this.
Turn right at the traffic lights and keep straight on. It's just after the shoe shop on the left.
In noisy surroundings, it's even worse. Hearing aid wearers can't pick out what they want to hear from the background noise as well as a hearing person can. This is what a hearing aid user might hear in group situations such as a pub or party when several people are talking at the same time.
When I was in Indonesia, the traffic was so awful, it was really a business,
Traffic noises, for example near a busy road, can be painful for someone wearing a hearing aid. In a moving car or bus, the noises can drown out speech. In a public building, such as a day centre, the hard surfaces reflect and echo the sounds, and background noises drown out speech. Outdoors, the wind can make a loud noise in the hearing aid. In the home, noisy equipment, such as television and vacuum cleaners, can make conversation difficult for a hearing aid user. The problem is worse in a room like the kitchen, which has a lot of hard, reflecting surfaces.
Bucket potatoes or chips, mixed vegetables or salad.
In the bathroom, extractor fans and running water can drown out speech. At meal times, the scraping and clattering of cutlery and crockery can make it hard to follow the conversation. Hearing aids do not pick up sounds well from the distance, and it's often difficult for a person wearing a hearing aid to identify the direction from which a sound comes. Also, there are times when it's not appropriate to wear a hearing aid, for example in bed at night. It's important that new hearing aid users and their families are told that a hearing aid cannot restore normal hearing. A great deal of encouragement and support is needed for them to get the best from it. The hearing therapist is the person specially trained for this. New users are advised to wear the aid for a short time in a room with soft furnishings to start with. They may find background noises like a clock ticking or birds singing bewildering at first, having probably not heard them for a long time. So the user needs reassurance and help to identify these noises. The next stage is conversation with one person in a quiet, relaxing place. Later, the hearing aid user can try conversation with strangers and in groups and noisier places. However, if there's too much background noise, the hearing aid is less useful. Usually it helps to turn it down to a quieter volume. Various adaptations can be made to hearing aids to help overcome some problems. For example, some people are unable to tolerate the amplified sounds heard through a hearing aid. This can usually be overcome by supplying one which does not deliver sounds above the user's tolerance level. Some people with poor sight, paralysis or arthritis cannot operate the controls on a hearing aid. But the specialist may be able to solve the problem by selecting the most appropriate model of aid, then making some adjustments, such as replacing the ear mold of the body-worn aid with steto clips, or inserting a screw into the volume control, or attaching a string to the battery compartment to make it easier for someone with arthritic fingers to open it. Unfortunately, some people find that a hearing aid makes their tinnitus worse, although others find that it helps by masking their tinnitus. We've pointed out some of the limitations of hearing aids, especially to new users. However, they should be encouraged to persevere as the benefits increase with practice. Many people would not be without their hearing aids, especially as in some situations they can be very helpful indeed. This is what it might sound like through a hearing aid in ideal conditions. A quiet environment with good acoustics and the speaker about 3 feet away.
This is what it can sound like to listen through a hearing aid.
It's still not like normal hearing, but the aid enables the person to hear far more than they would without it. Therefore, it's important for deaf and hearing people to overcome their embarrassment about deafness and their reluctance to do anything about it, because the problems can only be overcome if everyone works together. Personal hearing aids do not enable a deaf person to hear all sounds. So, in the next part of the program, we'll look at devices known as environmental equipment.